Today we are going to be talking about what you guys are using for your nighttime routine. There's going to be different things that you want for different styles that you have, believe it or not. A bonnet is not always the best choice, especially depending on what type of bonnet that you have. So, we are going to break that down a little bit so that way you guys can make better decisions on which one to be using to help your hairstyle and help you in the long run. So, if you are one of those people that do not like to do anything, you just fall asleep and you don't want nothing restricting, you just want to go to sleep. You want to be looking for satin pillowcases or satin pillowcase covers. Now, those are different. We have the pillowcases where, you put your actual pillow in there. And then we have the pillowcase covers where it just goes over the pillowcase. So that way, if you got a cute design for your bedding and things like that, you don't have to worry about it ruining your vibe in your room. It's just for when you go to sleep at night. So instead of you putting a bonnet on your head, you're putting a bonnet on your pillow. That works wonders for people like me who don't like headscarves, who don't like bonnets when they're going to sleep. I literally take my hair and I pineapple it on the top of my head and I go to bed. I don't like restricting. I would get really bad headaches no matter pretty much whatever bonnet I had. Because one moment it'll be fine, but then like if I toss or turn, it'll kind of be twisted and it would hurt since I've had my locks. When I had individuals, that one I was okay sometimes, but it just depends on the style. So that's why I really wanted to break them down so that way you guys can kind of decide and have your different ones for the different styles that you are going to be doing. So pillowcases, pillowcase covers, absolutely great if you don't like a whole lot of things to do at night or if you just fall asleep. So, I also feel like too many people use a bonnet in the case where they should be using a headscarf. Headscarves are typically styles that you do not want the roots or the base manipulated. So, when we are sleeping, we toss, we turn, we do all of that. So, while we are doing that in our sleep, you are sliding and doing all of that with your hair. And over and over again, it's going to frizz up. It's not going to be as neat as you want it. If you want a super clean, neat look in the morning, you want a headscarf. And if you have a style that is easily messed up, like two braids or a silk press, those are easily messed up. So you always want to tie it down securely first before you are doing the bonnets and things. Now, a silk press can also use a do rag. I loved my do rags if I was doing a silk press because I could wrap my hair. I used duck bills to pin it, and after I've wrapped it, I would put my do rag on, tie it loosely, and then pull my clips out, and then I would tie it tighter and I would rotate it so that way I got a tight mold for the next morning. And then I would comb it down. My silk press and my wrap was amazing. I loved it. I loved that season of my life. But it didn't require a bonnet. And you need to know that you're using the right things to get the right style so your style lasts. Same for two braids. Two braids, especially ones that have that thicker hair texture. That middle section you don't want messed up. So you want to keep it secure with a headscarf. Now, if you are only focusing on your edges, this is the type of thing where you're going for your individuals. Um, Pretty much that's it. Individuals and crochets. That's where we're at now. So if you're doing any type of individual style crochets, always tie either a thin edge wrap or a thin scarf around the edges first before your bonnet. They have bonnets now that have the edge wrap on there with the bonnet. Now, the only thing with those, make sure that yours is the one that doesn't have the seam where it is still hitting on your hairline. There are some that are like that, and then depending on how you like to wear your bonnet, some people will pull the band down here around where their eyebrows is at. If you're doing that and the seam is right here, the seam is hitting your edges. And then you have this thinning spot that's not typically at the very front edge. It's like a little bit right behind your edges. That comes from a bonnet's lining. So always make sure that you are using a better quality bonnet instead of going to get you one of the cheap ones that have the little it just got that little thin thing, and they real super thin, cheap, bogus. Don't do that. If you're going to wear one of those, you absolutely have to wear one of those. Put a headscarf on first. That will save the edges. And the rest of the hair, you really don't have to worry about as much in individuals. It's all about how you are putting it inside of the bonnet. So if you have longer ones, either get you the longer bonnets or take your hair and you kind of like, you don't want to put it in a ponytail up here because then it's going to make your braids crinkle. So what you want to do is kind of wrap them like you would do a silk press. So take all your braids here and pin, and take all of these braids around the back and pin. Then you would put on the bonnet and things like that. This will keep your hair from having those bent braids in the back of your neck. This helps. It's like you're doing a wrap for your silk press, but you're not going all in one direction. You just take one half of the braids up one way, the other half up the other way. That will make it where now you don't have the bent pieces and you are keeping your hair secure. It's not any pulling or anything on your hair, especially if your hairstyle is old. So, if you guys have a hairstyle that is old, it is very important to keep it tied down as long as you can, not just overnight. So, if you were during the daytime and your edges was needing to be touched up, if you needed to touch up your edges, what you would want to do is tie them down with the edge wraps. Keep them from moving, because the more they're moving, the more friction you're causing, the more hanging you're causing, and it's going to break off. So never let your braids go out super long to the point where they're gone. They're like about uh typically about like right up in here where they can twist. Even like right, mine starts about right here, and see how much that you can twist from here. A lot of people will come in and they have stuff like this and they wonder why their hair is falling off and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. That's too much twisting. It should not be that long to twist. So because you have extra added weight, it's not just your hair weight, it's other weight that you've put on top of your hair. Your hair strands is made to hold its own weight, not made to hold this is the synthetic weight where it's like super heavy. That's another, we'll talk about that in another video on portion sizing for your hair to the actual synthetic hair. So that's pretty much it for overnight care. Get you guys some bonnets, some pillowcases or the pillowcase covers, head scarves, do rags, whichever ones work for you for the style that you are doing. If you guys have any questions about these, go ahead and comment down below and I will be sure to answer them so that way you guys can get the right things you need.